Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Geeksiders Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Anna.
And in this episode, we're going to cover a variety of topics. But first, obviously, we're going to talk about the Game of Thrones series finale. So let's jump right into that. It was better than I had thought it would be, given how bad this season was.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
It was boring.
God, yeah. For a series finale, it was boring, basically start to finish. Even, Jon kills Daenerys, which should be like this big thing. It was somehow still boring when he killed her. He killed her in the most boring fashion ever. And, before he killed her, I was like, oh, Jon's gonna kill Daenerys.
Yeah, it wasn't...
it was so predictable that he was gonna do it. It wasn't even interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call that scene boring, really, but it wasn't it was obvious.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It wasn't. I don't know.
It wasn't a I don't know. It wasn't like a
and
bum
even,
bum bum
yeah,
kind
and
of a
even
moment.
the moment, a cool moment that they could have had. Jon's a Targaryen. He can survive fire, including dragon fire. Supposedly, I don't know. Daenerys has never been burned by her own dragons.
No, and so I mean, I guess not all Targaryens are fireproof. So somebody,
is it?
Yeah, somebody had told me that, her brother Viserys. Remember, he had the gold melted over his head.
Yeah, but that was melted gold.
That wasn't fire.
That wasn't fire.
But she's like, he's not a dragon. Dragons don't burn, or fire can't hurt it, or something like that. So I mean,
I don't know.
That is a theory that not all Targaryens are fireproof.
They had a moment there where Drogon could have burned Jon,
and he didn't burn.
And he could have just emerged with, one, you could have had fan service because you could have had a naked Jon smoldering.
You could have had Kit Harington's butt.
Yeah, exactly. You could have had this fan service moment, and it would have been kind of epic. And yeah, I totally didn't take that. That would have made the episode a little less boring. But I don't know.
Basically, it seems like the first 5 episodes of this season it's like they forgot how to write those riveting conversations that Game of Thrones is known for, and they went, as they were writing, they went, oh yeah, we know how to write dialogue, let's fill this episode with dialogue.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of conversation in this episode, and it was all really good conversation. It was the best dialogue of the entire season.
Yes,
absolutely. In this episode.
Absolutely.
But it was start to finish dialogue.
Yeah.
So they could have done anything to amp up the tension a little bit. Maybe the Unsullied are a little rowdy after Jon kills Daenerys and some shit's going down.
Yeah.
Anything to amp up the tension, because there was no tension really in this episode.
Jon kills Daenerys, and the Dothraki are loyal to Daenerys to a fault, and then
what are the Dothraki doing? They didn't even talk about him.
On his way to take the Black, on his way to the boat, he walks right past a group of Dothraki, and they don't even tense up.
And right past Grey Worm, who gives him kind of a stink eye.
But the Unsullied are trained.
Yeah, they're disciplined.
Disciplined. The Dothraki are not, and the Dothraki didn't even freaking bat an eye.
I didn't even notice the
Dothraki.
They
just sauntered on by.
I didn't even notice them.
I'm like, really? Not even a little bit of tension here? Nothing? Really?
Not even a stink eye, huh?
Yeah, I'm not even.
I didn't notice the Dothraki were even there. I didn't even see them.
Yeah, he walked by a group of them, and they nothing.
Oh my gosh,
nothing.
That's really bad.
And I'm like, I feel like they should have tried something.
Yeah.
There should have been a scuffle there.
Yeah. I agree, totally.
Or they should have just not had the Dothraki walking by him in the street.
Just don't have any Dothraki in that scene.
Don't have Dothraki in that scene, because they would not have walked peaceably by Jon Snow.
And the fact that he just walked through, just in broad daylight, walked
with
past
no
everybody.
Guards or anything.
I feel like they should have shuffled him out there in secret.
Yeah.
Make it a thing.
Everybody knows who he is.
Yeah. Make it a thing. People are going to be out to get you. Let's get you out of here safely. I think that should have been a thing.
Yeah.
Also, well, let's just who ends up on the well, not on the Iron Throne because it got melted, but who ends up as king of the Six Kingdoms? Bran, which would have been for me like the third most obvious choice. Like for me, the most obvious choice, because it's always felt like Daenerys' story, would have been Daenerys.
Yeah.
The second most obvious would have been Jon Snow. The third most obvious is Bran, because he was the first character introduced in the novels, and I think also in the show. I think he was the first character we saw.
Yeah, yeah.
Or actually, not actually. He was like not really the first, because we saw the people beyond the wall first.
Yeah.
But he was the first Stark, I think, that we met, or if I remember correctly, I'm not sure. But
still, he was
the third most obvious character to sit on the Iron Throne.
Yeah.
Or become king. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he was if you've been paying attention on the internet, he was a pretty popular fan theory this week for being on the throne.
I think a lot of stuff leaked.
Oh, did it?
I think it had to have, because the whole the Brienne thing, finishing Jaime Lannister's entry in the Knight's Journal or whatever, that leaked in like very vivid detail.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I didn't read any of the things, but like a lot of my friends posted their theories, and quite a few of them had Bran on the Iron Throne. I am glad that it wasn't Dany or Jon. I think I would have been mad with either one of those choices. I originally wanted Dany to end up on the Iron Throne, but then how they have been writing her the last couple episodes, I did not want her on the Iron Throne. And then if Jon had replaced her, I would have been pissed, because he didn't deserve it. That would have really pissed me off. And like, I'm okay with Bran being on it, I guess. I don't know, like,
I'm okay with Bran,
Bran just
winning
kinda,
the kingdoms. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Bran for me has always been like one of the boring characters. Like, when I was reading the book, I was like, oh god, I'm on a Bran chapter. Like, I was never...
After the first book, that's how it was for me with Bran. After the first one.
Like, I never really got excited about Bran as a character. Even after he became the Third-Eyed Raven, I don't know, I just never could get into his character. But I mean, that's, I guess, on me, because I feel like that should be an interesting character, but it never did.
After the first book, I stopped caring about Bran as much. In the first book, Bran was my boy, but after the first book, I really did stop caring about him.
Yeah.
And then I gave up halfway through the fourth book. I can't get through A Feast for Crows. It's so damn boring.
I really wanted Tyrion to end up on the throne, but I knew that would be really, really hard to write that way. But I wanted Tyrion to be a Targaryen, and I totally wanted that fan theory to pan out, and for Daenerys to try to execute him by dragonfire, and it not work because he's actually a Targaryen, so he emerges from it. And so like, I wanted him to actually end up on the Iron Throne somehow, using that, but obviously that did not
happen. Other things in this episode, like I said, the conversations were all great. Like the scene where they choose Bran as to be king. I thought that was a fantastic scene.
That was a fantastic scene. And the scene with Tyrion and Jon, where Tyrion convinces Jon to kill Daenerys, that was a fantastic dialogue scene. And
the thing about that scene, though, is I felt like as soon as that scene ended, and Daenerys is walking up to the Iron Throne, I went, Jon's gonna kill her.
Yep.
Like, I knew after that scene, there was no question in my mind. I'm like, Jon's gonna kill her.
That's why, like, when you see Jon behind her, it's like, oh, he's gonna kill her. He's gonna kill her right here. Oh,
like, there was no will he, won't he at all.
Yeah, no, he's gonna kill her. Yeah.
But that was just, I mean, the Jon Tyrion conversation when Tyrion was captured, that was a fantastic scene. I think my favorite scene in the episode was definitely when they chose Bran to be king.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Because Sansa, she tells him, you're my brother and I love you, but the North is not going to bend the knee to a king ever again. We're going to be an independent kingdom. Yeah. I'm like, go you.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because nobody else would fight the dead. Yeah. Like, they kept saying, the wall's not going to hold him. If the dead get past the North, you guys are all gonna fucking die, and nobody would believe them. So they sacrificed so much to defend the entire freaking kingdom, and nobody would help them. So yeah, I don't see that. You know, they're like, hey, we saved y'all's asses, we're out, we're done.
Tyrion, of course, came up with the idea of, you know, the lords and ladies of the Six Kingdoms to choose their own king whenever, or queen, I guess, whenever the time comes. And Sam threw out the idea of just going full democracy and got laughed down, which I'm glad they didn't go that route. Yes, I am pro-democracy, obviously. But I'm glad they didn't go that route, because that just would have, like, I'm like, how do you even tally the votes? Half the people can't read. More than half probably can't read.
And not only that, like, in this world, in this, you know, fantasy world, going from the system they have straight to a democracy does not make any sense over a single conversation. That's just not going to happen.
But they got close to it, though, with Tyrion's idea.
See, that's the thing, is like, this made sense. And then maybe, you know, a couple of kings down the road, they can make it to a democracy.
Yeah, but a couple hundred years.
Yeah, but like going straight from how it was, you know, to a democracy wouldn't make any sense, and it would have pulled me completely out of the experience. I'm like, well, that never would have happened. Are you kidding me?
So there were some things that really
before we get to things that bugged us, because there was one other thing that I really, really loved about this episode.
Okay, yeah.
It was really soon in the beginning of the episode, Drogon flies like into the ruins, and Daenerys is coming out of the ruins towards her people, and Drogon opens his wings, and it looks like Daenerys has wings, and that was fantastic. That was a beautiful shot. I absolutely love that, and I really hope some Daenerys cosplayers work with some photographers and get an image of that, because that was pure gorgeousness.
I guarantee you dozens of them have already called their photographers.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really, really mad that they messed up her story and her character so much for me. Because there's a lot of people who are fine with her story and think that this is how her character should be. I just completely disagree. I think they totally fucked up her character. But I digress here. I'm really mad that they did, because her outfit was amazing. Yeah. And it was not highly complex, and it's totally one that I could have cosplayed if I still loved this character. And I don't, though. Yeah. They ruined her for me. So I'm really mad about that, because I totally could have cosplayed this outfit.
All right, things that really annoyed me in this episode. There's actually not many that really, really annoyed me, aside from being boring.
Yeah, it was. That was its main fault, really.
It was just boring. It was a little bit boring. There wasn't enough tension in the episode. It just felt like a cool down after the chaos from the past couple episodes. All right, let's talk about Arya right now. Arya decides that she's not going to go back to the north. She wants to find out what is west of Westeros. And I don't remember Arya ever expressing a desire to explore, to be a discoverer of new, continents or whatever. Maybe that was mentioned at some point. It doesn't stick out to me.
Yeah, like, I don't recall anything either, and I'm like, I don't know, it's been so long since season 1, maybe before she created her kill list and had to become a trained assassin, and she was still innocent, there were some hints of her wanting to explore, and we're just forgetting these hints, and
I don't remember them.
She's now able to go back to those innocent ways. But yeah, I don't remember that. I don't know.
It just seemed totally out of character.
It seemed completely out of the blue, and really weird and out of character. Like, it seemed more in character for her to stay and protect her sister. Mm-hmm. And, like, assassinate anybody who messed with her sister. Like, that seemed way more in character.
Yeah. Another thing that bothered me is in the scene where they're having their Bran's having his meeting with his new hand Tyrion and the Master of Coin and all the others. Bran says, they're talking about where Drogon is, and Bran says, well, maybe I can find him. And then we never hear anything else about that.
Yeah. Like, one, why was that important? Why would
if you weren't going to talk about it again, why mention it at all?
Yeah, if you weren't going to tell us why this was important, why would you even bring it up? Yeah. I'm like, obviously it's important for some reason. Like, why does Bran want to know where Drogon is?
Yeah.
Like, that was really annoying.
And
really
then
annoying.
They just dropped it after that, and that bothered me.
Yeah.
And also with that scene was played for laughs, and that pissed me off. That should have been a really important scene, getting their shit together after everything that happened, and it was played for laughs, talking about brothels and everything else. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that scene really, really irritated me. When it should be like, it's like the first meeting of the king's
of the new government.
Advisors of the new government, yeah. And it was played off for laughs, and oh my gosh, that was annoying.
I was like, this new government doesn't have their shit together.
Yeah, they're all goofballs, and they're gonna go broke, and the government's gonna collapse.
Yeah.
At least that's the impression that I got, because they're just bullshitting, man. They should have just like people just at a bar chatting. It felt like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's really the things that really, really annoyed me. That's kind of it. Otherwise, I mean, it was an okay episode. It was better than I thought they could do after the last couple episodes.
Yeah, it was definitely better than I thought. I expected to end the episode and be pissed off with how it ended. And I wasn't pissed off. I was just...
That wasn't the worst thing ever.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're like, well, it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been so much worse.
It could have been so much worse.
But if somebody asked me, hey, should I watch Game of Thrones? I know that it didn't get canceled or anything. They finished it. Should I watch it? I would still say no.
Yeah, I would tell them no as well.
I'd say don't bother with it, because you're going to like it for 6 seasons and then you're going to hate it.
Yep.
And you're going to feel like you wasted your time. So, yeah, that's that. I do want to talk about fans and fandoms for a couple of minutes in this episode of the Geeksiders Podcast. Basically, I've been thinking for the last couple of days about the different kinds of fans, because between like Star Wars and Game of Thrones, fans turning against the thing they love is kind of a thing now. Mm-hmm. And I see often in the threads talking about it that, well, if you're a Star Wars fan or if you're a Game of Thrones fan, then you should like whatever they do because it's Star Wars or because it's Game of Thrones. And I'm like, no, that's really not how it works.
No.
Not at all.
Absolutely not.
I mean, there are those fans who will, like, if they love Star Wars, and if it's Star Wars, they're going to love it no matter what. Okay, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Do your thing. But there's also those fans who can genuinely love Star Wars or Game of Thrones or Star Trek or whatever, but be able to pick out, okay, that sucked.
Yeah.
And there are people who, just nitpick the hell out of everything. There's a lot of different kinds of fans. And it feels like there's like a war between the people who are going to love it no matter what and the people who can pick out the bad stuff and go, no, that was really bad.
Yeah, and it's like that with a lot of different things, like not even just in the fandoms with established content, but like with castings and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's
case in point, what's his name?
Yeah, Robert Pattinson as Batman. Like, people are fighting over whether it's okay to be disappointed in it or if you should give him a chance. Guys, it's okay to have an opinion.
Yeah, it really is.
And it's okay to express that opinion online. It's not okay to get nasty with somebody else for having an opinion.
No.
It's okay to have a healthy debate about it. Like, if you want to debate with somebody about it, and hey, if somebody has an opinion and they don't have like a whole, like, say on a casting, somebody's like, oh, I'm mad about that casting, this is a terrible actor. And you're like, no, this person's really, really great. maybe they haven't seen everything. Recommend some movies for them, but don't don't be mean to people because they have a different opinion from you. Everybody's allowed to have different opinions. We dislike Game of Thrones. A lot of people think
now we do.
Right? Yeah, we
the last two seasons.
We hate the season. This last season was awful. Season
7 wasn't the worst. It was rushed.
Yeah.
Season 8 was garbage.
Yeah, Season 8 has been garbage. The last 2 episodes completely ruined Daenerys as a character for me. Mm-hmm. They completely messed up her character.
Which ruins the whole thing, really.
Yeah, which ruins the entire story for me, because for me, this entire story has felt like Daenerys' story.
For me too.
But because that's my personal experience of this story.
Yeah.
That might not be your experience of that story, and that's totally fine. There are a lot of people out there who their interpretation of the book and the series, they don't see Dany's character as being ruined. They're like, dude, this is totally within character. How do you guys not see this as being within character? I'm sorry. I see it differently. That's my opinion, and that's what our podcast is for, is to tell you guys what our opinion is.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally healthy, listening to other people's opinions. Sometimes, I read those things and I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, I missed that. Or I'm like, yeah, no, y'all are totally off base. I see what you're saying. I still think you're wrong.
Now, all of this, that's not to say that, is there such a thing as toxic fans? Absolutely. There is. For sure. Like the people who went after Rose in The Last Jedi, absolutely unacceptable. You can't do that kind of thing. Running someone off social media by being racist and sexist and just awful, that is
not acceptable.
Not acceptable in any way.
Yeah.
There are definitely toxic fans. But that's a segment of fans.
Yeah.
There's a lot of little segments of fans. So when people say, well, most fans this or most fans that, really no, because there's a lot of little different segments of fans.
There's a lot of different segments. Yeah.
And I don't think there's very few things that you can say most fans this and it's actually true.
Yeah.
Like most fans liked The Last Jedi. Oh, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be some people who loved it, some people who hate it, and some people who are indifferent.
Yeah.
And are you going to find a simple majority in those groups? I don't know that you will.
Yeah.
But there are definitely toxic fans, and there are, the kitty cats are playing. You probably heard that. And so, yeah, that's our little chat about fans and fandoms. What I wanted to touch on. Last thing, we had Megacon this weekend.
Yes, we did.
And it was amazing.
Oh my god, yeah.
3 years in a row it sucked. This year it was awesome.
Yeah, this year, well, I wouldn't say it sucked 3 years in a row.
I didn't have fun 3 years in a row. I had no fun.
It was okay 3 years in a row. This year it was amazing. I don't know what they did differently this year. Well, what all they did differently this year. I was able to pick out some of the things they did differently. They have new vendors. That's amazing in and of itself. When you have the
vendors had new stuff.
Yeah, when you have the same vendors every single year and they bring the same stuff every single year, walking the vendor floor is really freaking boring because you've seen the same exact stuff, especially when those same vendors also vended all of the other conventions in Florida. If you go to 2 conventions a year, you've seen every single vendor. It gets really boring. So they had new vendors. They had new people in the community zone. The community zone is the area that has like the cars and like the sets where like the Star Wars sets where you can go in and take pictures, and like where the 501st would be and the Rebel Legion, stuff like that. They had new cosplayers. I do like, obviously you want to bring the fan favorites back, but it was refreshing to see new faces. gets...
Like cosplay guests.
Yeah, cosplay guests. Yeah, sorry. In their cosplayer zone, they had new cosplay guests. They usually have the same guests over and over and over and over again. And like I said, when you have your really, really popular ones, obviously you want to bring them back because they're going to bring a crowd. But it looks like Megacon's trying to bring some smaller people, maybe. I don't know. There was a lot of names I didn't recognize.
Some people who might have a following in Central Florida.
Yeah, so maybe these were smaller local people. I'm not really sure. I didn't look up everybody. I hope they were. I'd really like to see some smaller local cosplayers getting the opportunity to get their name out there by getting a guest table at Megacon. That would be really, really cool of Megacon to do that. So that was really cool. Now, there was a lot of new art, but that could be because we just haven't purchased art in like a year because of having a new baby. We haven't really been doing a lot of frivolous spending. So there was a lot of new art. So that was really, really exciting.
Yeah, Artist Alley was really fun this year because it's stuff that we had never seen before.
Gosh. So that was just the floor itself.
The biggest thing for me is, and I don't know what they did differently, but the flow of traffic through the convention floor was so much smoother this year than it has been the last several years. Yeah. Like there were basically no bottlenecks.
Yeah.
There was only a couple times where the floor got so crowded that it was shoulder to shoulder and you couldn't move very well. The rest of the time, I mean, just literally just a couple of times we experienced this. The rest of the time, it was really no problem getting from one end of the floor to the other if you had to. And that's a huge deal, is the controlling the flow of humanity that walks these, especially these big cons, where if you've got a bottleneck area on your floor, it can destroy a convention.
Yes.
Because you're just stuck and you can't get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they did to fix it, but they fixed it and it was awesome.
Yeah. It looks like they had two main entrances. So usually Megacon only has one main entrance and they line everybody up, and at the start of the day everybody's got to go through that one entrance. It looked like they had two of them this year. So that helped getting in the morning. Like we didn't have any problems getting in the morning. Like usually, like after the line starts going in, you're still like, it takes a little bit to actually get into the floor. And like even like Saturday, we didn't even wait in line. We just kind of hung out in the deli until the line started going in, and then we went in, and we were still on the con floor probably like 15 minutes after it opened. Now
we didn't have like anything. We got to go get this done right
exactly.
now. We didn't have anything like that except for Friday we did.
Yeah,
we had
Friday
to get you signed up for the costume contest. But basically, it was a very pleasant experience.
Yeah.
The only negative from this whole weekend is, for some reason, they decided having a drum corps lead the people into the con would be a good idea. And I don't know if you've been to like a convention center where you're like, but it's almost like where you stand in line to get into the actual convention floor. It's almost like a big warehouse. Like the floor is cement. There's no carpet down there. It's really nowhere for the sound to go. And a drum corps is so loud. I don't know whose idea that was, but it was a terrible idea.
Yeah, it was very, very loud.
And here's the thing, though. I think we're the only people who thought that.
Everybody else like loved it. Like people were cheering and they thought it was the best thing ever. But like, I thought my eardrums were gonna explode.
Like I've never felt more like a grumpy old man in my life than I did complaining about the drum corps.
Yeah,
because it was Friday. We were in.
Friday was the only day that we had to wait in the line, and that was the day we were like, oh my god,
and the drum corps was like right in front of us, and I'm like, oh my god, they're still playing. Jeez, why don't they just go away? This is so loud, and everybody in line is looking at me like, God, you're such a dick. I'm like, are you guys come on now, this is really loud, you guys. I've never felt more like just a grumpy old man in my life than right then.
Yeah, not a fan of the drums, but like I think everybody else loved it.
There's nothing wrong with the drum corps. It's just time and place.
Yeah.
At a football game, that's fine. You're outside or whatever, and there's somewhere for the sound to go. When you're in basically a warehouse, no, not the time or place for a drum corps.
Nope, the sound just echoes all around you, and it just keeps bouncing.
And it's so loud. Yeah. But we had a really fantastic time. We didn't meet any celebrities this year. We decided to be responsible grown-ups.
Yeah.
And we didn't buy a whole lot of art. Connor picked out his first piece of art, though, and that was super cute.
Yeah.
He picked out a picture of this guy, right? He draws cats as different people. And he drew this cat as Albert Einstein.
Yes.
And it was really cute, and that's the one that he picked.
Yeah.
Because Connor loves cats, and he sees... I didn't even see this booth.
No, me either.
He points and he goes, kitty cat! And I'm like, where is there a kitty cat? And I look, and there's just this wall of kitty cat art. And so we walked over there, and the first thing he did was he pointed to this mug with the Einstein cat on it. And I was like, all right, he likes that picture. Let's find that print. And we found it, and I handed it to him, and he didn't want to let go of it.
Yeah.
He just wanted to hold it and look at it. It was the cutest thing ever. So Connor had a great time.
Yeah.
We went Thursday and Sunday with Connor, and then Friday and Saturday, he had somebody taking care of him, because those are the two busiest days.
Yeah. We were not going to bring him, especially Saturday. Saturday was way too busy for him.
Yeah. So even today was a little bit too busy, I think. I think he did get a little bit of sensory overload.
Yeah, he did, a little bit.
We ran into a couple cosplayers cosplaying the Paw Patrol today.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the only tantrum today was when we walked away from the Paw Patrol.
Yeah, he did not want to leave them. He was like, no, puppy.
And the thing is, he was terrified. We got a picture with them, and he was terrified of them. Like, he clung on to me so tight when we were getting our picture taken, and then we walked away, he started throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? You're terrified of these things, and now you're mad that we're throwing... Oh, and he did throw a tiny tantrum when he was trying to catch up to the astromech droid.
Oh, and it went onto the con floor, and the con floor wasn't open yet.
Yeah.
But then he got distracted by the little goat cart Enterprise.
Yeah, so... It was a really great con this year. I'm really happy that Megacon has rebounded after a miserable couple of years.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's about all we have for this episode of the Geeksiders Podcast. Really appreciate you guys for listening. Where can they find you social media-wise?
I am all over the place at Anastasia Cosplay, ANNA.
Oh, download the Fan Guru app and vote for Anna, by the way.
Well, it ends in, probably...
Oh, now.
Probably now.
Never mind. So, yeah, everything Anastasia Cosplay for social media. And for me, I run the Geeksiders Podcast social media. Everything is Geeksiders or the Geeksiders Podcast. You can find us on there. All right, and that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Bye.